New intro video. I like it. Right.
Pretty cool.
Right. Welcome to another episode of the Hull and Back podcast, guys. I'm back on the hosting reins today because Matt's betrayed us and gone to another podcast for today. Jokes. He's on a podcast called Turf to Terrace. Him, Scott Goodwin, who we had on the pod before, and Hull comedian Sam Harland's on it. So go check that out. It's actually pretty good. They've done the first episode and got a few guests lined up. Obviously, we've got the sponsors and partners to introduce. Best not forget them when we first go back. We have our actual sponsors, Hull City Retro, which we all know, see every game pretty much now. You know, very high quality remakes of some classic shirts from the 80s, 90s. Shirts that we all wish we could have, but don't, for really good prices as well. Obviously, give them a follow. Check out the store, become a member, and you can join us in wearing some of their clobber. We've got Charlie Spalding, who's a filmmaker. He boasts quite a nice profile, actually. He's worked with the likes of Adidas and does a lot of motorsport. He's doing some music videos at the minute, I think. Do check out his profile, because if you've got an event that you want video, he'd probably be the guy to hit up. We have our partners in FanHub. Obviously, you'll have seen us post about it. You'll have seen FanHub themselves. It's a free app to download, but very rewarding to have. You basically get to predict your teams. You get to read and listen to a lot of fan content regarding your club and the others around you. You get fan score as a leaderboard. You can win 2 free tickets to home games every month, as well as a new. I believe you can start winning merchandise now with the new partnership with them as well.
So,
yeah. So keep an eye out on that, and obviously try and get your fan score as high as you can to win some of them tickets. You'll always see a golden ticket code from us to help you skip the queue. So if you do want to join, keep an eye out on our socials. And then we do try and push for support for the Hull Badge Man. It's a group of volunteers. They're not for profit. You know, they usually stand outside the stadium selling badges, very high quality badges. They don't run it for a profit. They literally just, any money they make goes straight back onto the badges, and they are cheap. But they're struggling at the minute. They're being quoted some silly prices. I think it's like 1,500 quid. The club have told them to have a permanent position outside the stadium, which is scandalous. And they're very, very close to losing their online as well as not having a permanent stand somewhere. So they're in desperate need of support. So do head over and try and buy some stuff if you can. Right, so we'll jump straight into it then. Another slightly positive podcast. We've won 2 on the bounce, which we've not done since last season, and it's weird. Obviously, we played Birmingham. Baz has eaten his Frosties because we won. It was obviously a very good performance. I watched it on a stream. Will, you were actually there. Do you want to just sum up how we played, what our strengths were?
Yeah, it was a fantastic day of football from City's perspective. They were the dominant side pretty much from the opening second. Birmingham were, regardless of the red card and everything, were dog shit. And it really did help that played City's hands, because City just never looked like conceding a goal at any point in the game. Even when Birmingham would have the ball and go forward, City's defence was just rock solid. And I think it was partly because we'd switched the formation again to the back 3, which I think we've done out of necessity rather than choice to an extent. But they just looked so much more confident playing in that formation and so much more in control in the defence and midfield. There's not much more I can say, apart from Honeyman's goal, to be fair, shouldn't have stood.
Yeah.
But you can't, the performance was, the result was probably about right for the performance.
Yeah, listen, we've had our fair share of luck go against us, but I think we'll talk about the goals in a minute. So it was nice to see something go our way for once. I've saved this question especially for you, Nathaniel, because I feel like this is absolutely perfect for you at the minute. Was there any players that stood out for you, and why?
Maybe it's just future Ballon d'Or winger, future England captain Ryan Longman, who I've, as you know, loyal listeners will know, I've been rating from the very first appearance, and I've been wanting him to start. And you know, he came on in the last game, and he started this one. He's got an assist, which he kept the ball in so brilliantly. Great weighted touch, wonderfully weighted, pass to Honeyman, and created the first goal. It was just glorious to listen to on the radio, although it sounded as if like it wasn't going to be given. somehow. But I mean, they couldn't take a beautiful piece of skill off like that.
In the ground, it did take a couple of seconds.
Mm.
Yeah,
no one really wanted to celebrate straight away because they were saying it'd be disallowed.
No, I mean, I've saved that question for later, but we might as well talk about that goal now. So, I mean, we deserved it. I think on the run of play, we were the better side. Even obviously, Gardner got sent off in like the 42nd, third minute or something. It was just before half time on it, and we were already dominant. So the red card didn't really change anything. I think stats wise, it popped up. We had like I think 10 shots to about their 4 or something. You know what I mean? Like we're not used to that kind of attacking dominance in games because we usually leave it too late. So that was nice to see. But obviously, it did go out of play. It did. As I said, you know, as a City fan, we've had our fair share. I mean, every fan of every club can say the same. Officials' decisions can sometimes go against you, sometimes go for you. And I think we've needed a bit of luck lately. And to get that first goal probably picked the Reds up. And to be fair, as soon as that went in, you could tell. You could tell it was out of play by the fact that every Birmingham player and every City player stopped. Everybody but Honeyman
kind of stopped as well.
Yeah, because he sort of just put it in on instinct. He didn't really try and score. He just sort of stuck a leg at it and put it in. Instantly turns around to the liner and then realizes it's been given. And they're all like, oh, my God, and run away to celebrate. So you can understand the frustrations. But a deserved goal, I think, on the run of play. We did touch up on the system, actually. So obviously, the club released a statement about Josh Emmanuel before the game that he was going to miss out because he had to go to hospital. I don't think they've actually clarified what's wrong with him, have they?
No, they've kept it a private matter. Apparently, it happened on Thursday, and he was discharged on Friday. And they waited until the team was announced, obviously on Saturday. But they kept it a private matter, exactly what was up. And I think that's fair enough. If he wants to keep it a private matter, that's well within their rights. And I just hope he gets well soon.
Yeah, definitely. Because we were all looking forward to him having a consistent run in the side because Emmanuel's one of them players who, you know, is very good competition for Coyle, and he's a very good player when he does play.
Well, he would have been because Coyle's out for 3 months. He would have been the starter for a while. Yeah,
I'm 97% sure that he would have played our usual system if Emmanuel was fit. I mean, I don't know actually because didn't Elder pull out injured as well?
Elder said he wasn't feeling too great. Yeah, which might be partly because he'd come from Australia late as well, which would have helped. But he said he wasn't feeling too well to McCann on Saturday morning, which is fair enough they didn't play. But like I say, even though they didn't play, it ended up going to our advantage in the end. In a kind of,
and that's twice now it's happened. So he was forced to play this system against Borough, and has been forced to play this system against Birmingham, and both times we've won 2-0. So we scored 4 goals, conceded 0, and it's like, when the chance comes and players are back from injury, do we assume that he's going to go straight back to the system of old?
I think so.
Is he? Yeah, or is he going to look at these 2 wins and go,
well,
actually,
he should stay 3-5-2, but he won't because we won at Barnsley with the 4-3-3.
We did, and I think you're going to see at Cardiff he'll be back to a back 4 because Bernard picked up his 5th booking during the game, which meant he's going to miss the Cardiff game.
So we only have
McLaughlin and Greaves at the moment.
We might have
he did mention in his interview though that a couple of youngsters may get their chance.
He'll probably bring a couple of the youngsters in. He may stay with the back 3 and play one of the youngsters, but I think he'll probably go back to the back 4 just to play it safe.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it's a shame, innit, that Alfie Jones didn't fit because to keep that 3 at the back, I just think suits Greaves, especially in the likes of Bernard. It suits them more. And Sean Mclaughlin, I think, is one of the underrated players of our squad at the minute. Who's whenever he's been asked to step in at the minute, he's been brilliant. How was his performance? Do you think, Will, against Birmingham? Mako, was he good?
I mean, to be honest, it'd be wrong to put any of the defenders above any other because they were all fantastic. They were all absolutely superb. McLaughlin was great. Bernard was superb. Greaves was superb as well. Can't really fault any of them.
Who played as the left wing back then? Was it Longman? Did Longman play on the left?
KLP played on one side and Longwood played on the other. They were the wing backs, I would say.
You wouldn't invert wing backs, would you? That's a bit too much. Which if we invert wingers, maybe wing backs is a bit. That's a bit strange.
It was a weird formation. It wasn't really a 3-5-2. It was more a 3-1-4-2 because Smallwood would constantly move back and forth, back in front and behind of the defence, like a sweeper almost.
Like usual.
And he played well like that.
He did.
I think with the added protection of three. Yeah, I mean, I think the added protection of 3 defenders behind Smallwood suits him more. Because obviously his lack of pace and he's not very agile anymore. That, you know, to have 3 big burly centre halves behind you, sort of giving you that comfort blanket, and then the wing backs tucking in when we haven't got the ball, gives him a bit more security and probably a bit more confidence. Now, speaking about confidence in the defence, we all raised eyebrows at the fact that Matt Ingram was dropped for Baxter. Possibilities of Chelsea getting in touch and saying, look, if you're not going to play him, we'll take him back. Sort of forced to play kind of thing. But that being said, he's got two clean sheets, 2 wins on the bounce, team of the week twice in a row. Does he give the defence more confidence, in your opinion, Nathaniel, or would you stick with him?
Well, he must do, you'd think. I mean, he made a great save against Scott Hogan, who was 1-on-1. And I don't know whether because he's in the team of the week, but from listening and how bad Birmingham were, it sounds like that was his only real save. But I mean, you wouldn't change it, would you? If Ingram had been injured and he's fit now, for example, you wouldn't bring in Ingram back. But I think Baxter's here to stay.
I think with him as well, and that way, I think why he was in team of the week, apparently it was in that second half. Whenever Birmingham put a ball in the box or anything, he was on it like that, and he had the ball every single time. So he never looked phased at any point. And the way he reacted as well, in particular to the fucking idiotic Birmingham fans chucking bottles, just made him even more of a fucking legend.
Yeah. I mean, do you think the defence looks more confident with Baxter in goal than Ingram? Do you think he commands his area a bit more?
I think it's too quick to say, but I'm going to say possibly. He just looks a bit more assured overall.
Yeah, because I think distribution-wise, he's slightly better than Ingram too, and he's a bit quicker and a bit more proactive when he's got the ball and wanting us to counter. So in a season where we're struggling to get on the front foot and create chances, maybe a keeper that wants to kick us straight off rather than hang about would be a good thing. And I mean, like we say, 2 wins in a row, 2 clean sheets. Something must be going right. I mean, the reason I asked why you stick with him is because to change him now for Ingram would be similar to how he got into the team. Like, Ingram was playing well, probably arguably one of the players of the season.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise.
And then, Baxter gets put in the team. So we don't know, do we, really? The circumstances behind that.
McCann's head.
I honestly believe that Chelsea have been in touch and said, if he's not going to be number 1 here, then he needs to be number 1 somewhere else. So
it's worked out, though. They did that. If
it works better, I mean, it's nothing against Ingram because he's played well, but if Baxter suits the system more and sort of gets us on the front foot a bit quicker, then, unfortunately.
It gives you confidence of the depth of the goalkeeper at the moment. So if one of them don't play, the other one's probably still a competent goalkeeper that you've got in goal, not someone you're worried about.
Yeah, you don't want your number 2 to be like, when they're starting the game, you're thinking, oh, crap. Like Jakubovic used to be when he first came. Left a cult hero, but started a bit worryingly. So I believe we have a video from a Birmingham City fan who actually went to the game. He recently asked me to do a video in the preview, to which I said we'd lose 2-0. So it was nice to see that get reversed. But his name's Harry Matthews, and he's from the Lichfield and Tamworth Blues YouTube channel. So here's his thoughts on the game.
Hello, everyone of the To Hull and Back podcast. Thank you, Ant, for getting in touch with me to do this video for you. I am Harry from Lichfield and Tamworth Blue Noses. I am one of the admins on the Facebook group, and of course, as you may all know as well, I do the YouTube channel for Lichfield and Tamworth Blue Noses. I have just got home. It's from Hull v Birmingham. Got in contact with me to do my thoughts on the game and everything that has happened today. So yeah, it's 10:20 to be doing this, guys. So yeah, hope you enjoy this. So then, the game today, I think, personally, as a Blues fan, I am disgusted with how my team played today. I thought we were absolutely dreadful. Honest to God, I can't even put it into words. I'm fuming inside. I might not sound it, because I'm trying to stay positive as well. But honestly, like, of course, your goal should not have stood. Your first goal that made it 1-0. It did go out of play. But at the end of the day, even if that didn't count or did count, we should be playing better than that. And we should... It doesn't even matter about that goal, in my opinion. Our overall performance today was just shambolic, to say the least. Like, I'm disgusted, honestly, like I've said. But yeah, your first goal, yeah, should have been ruled out, but it happened. This can happen in football, but like we say, this is why we need VAR in the Championship, not just the Premier League as well, so they need to implement that ASAP. Second half, obviously, actually before the second half, Gary Garner sent off for us. Yep, definitely red card, headbutted your player. It's a red card all day long. Can't do much about that. Lee Bowyer even said in his press conference after the game that it was a red card. So yeah, red card for Gary Garner, 100%. So no complaints. So yeah, half time it was Hull 1, Blues 0. You deserve to go in the break 1-0 up, mate. Honestly, we were terrible. You were alright, I thought. You didn't cause us too much damage, but you still looked a lot brighter than us. You looked like you had fight today. We looked like we had nothing. And as a Blues fan, just pees me off, to say the least, is the wording I could use. But yeah, half time 1-0 to you. Then in the second half, of course, you made it 2-0. We were playing with 10 men. Usually that can go a team's way, usually it can't. In this case it didn't with us. We tried to change it at the break with going forward at the back. Again, did nothing, played awful, absolutely disgraceful, to say the least. So yeah, 2-0 to you. My man of the match for the game, I'm gonna go for a Hull player, because Blues were terrible, apart from like Riley McGree and Troy Deeney today. Yeah, Malik Wilks for you. Honestly, if you're going to stay up, he's going to be the key player for you. He literally plays. He looks like Adama Traore of Wolves. He looks a very good player. And honestly, I was saying to some Blues fans, I'd love to have him down Blues. So yeah, Malik Wilks, man of the match today. Not much else to say. I think you guys, if you can keep Malik Wilks fit for the rest of the season, get Tom Huddleston back, keep Deshaun Bernard fit, the on loan player from Manchester United, Lewis Potter fit, Josh McGuinness forward fit, I think you might stay up. So yeah, that is my views on today's match, guys. But yeah, thank you very much, Ant, for getting in contact with me. But yeah, overall, we were rubbish. You deserve the win, even if it was by 1-0 today or something. Like, we did not deserve to come away with that from anything. And even if we did get back into the game and draw right at the very end, I'd have been annoyed, because personally, we did not deserve anything. So yeah, thank you very much for getting in contact with me, mate. And any Blues fans watching this, keep right on. And any Hull fans watching this, or whatever team you support. But yeah, if there's any Hull fans, good luck for the rest of the season. But yeah, thank you very much, mate, and see you next time.
Well,
He likes Wilks, doesn't he?
I know. I think we've got a couple of things to pick from that one. So obviously, cheers, Harry, for sending that in. His YouTube channel is Litchfield and Tamworth Blue Nose, if you want to go check it out. So, is there any part of that we're a bit that we want to talk about?
Definitely not VAR in the Championship. I mean, like, it's part of the charm, right? That the referees are terrible. That's why we like it, right? You know, and
I mean,
we wouldn't have won.
I understand his concern, but yeah, I agree.
It balances out.
It would benefit us.
VAR is one of them things in it that everybody cries out for, and then when they get it, like we've seen in the Premier League, they don't want it. So, to me, you know, humans, the officials are humans. They're going to make mistakes. We've seen it throughout football since it started. if we're going to overanalyze every single detail in every game to the point that we're chalking goals off all the time and whatever, it ruins a game. It ruins a moment of scoring for me. Like, obviously, I've not attended a game where VAR's had to rule anything out, but I can imagine. Can you imagine the euphoria of scoring a goal and then it being taken away, or having to wait another 5 minutes for it to be confirmed, and then a slightly less muted cheer afterwards? VAR not for me. The Malik Wilkes comment, Will. He did score.
It does make me wonder how people perceive him from outside the club, because obviously we're not his biggest fans. I thought he had a decent game, but he was probably one of the weak performers on the day. Him and McGuinness were okay, but they were probably a level below everyone else on the pitch for us. But I do get where he's coming from, because he's one of those players where if he's on his game, he could tear it up, but the problem is he's very rarely on his game.
Yeah, I think the comment that if we're to stay up, he could be key is true, because KLP can't do it all, and we will need another player to step up. And if Wilkes does hit the form that we know he can do, then yeah, absolutely, he's going to be a key player to keep us up. But we just haven't seen that so far. Like we were saying with Baz on the last episode, he's just playing a completely different way. He's stocked up a bit. He's not getting in behind. He's trying to back into defenders. He's running into dead ends. Do you know what? Some of the chance he had a couple of times in the box against Birmingham where if he'd have just shot, he'd have probably scored. But he seems to divot, and he just takes too long. And it's like
there's a couple of moments where his decision making was well off.
Yeah, so hopefully, like Nathaniel said, it's a confidence thing. But we thought the goal against Middlesbrough would kick him on, and it didn't.
That's true.
So
there's a 2-week gap, maybe.
I think the goal, I think it was helped that it was something he couldn't really do anything with. It was instinctive. He has to head it there. He can't really control it, put it down. He's like, I think if it had been one where it had been into his feet, he might have second guessed it.
Yeah, he hasn't had many sort of one-shot chances like he had last year. If he gets on those, that's all right. But it's just that when he gets the ball outside the box, he tries to do too much. But
I think he looks a lot better playing as part of the front two.
Yeah,
he's got
a lot better.
I wasn't a fan of him playing through the middle when we had a front three. I don't like him as a lone striker. I don't think he's physical enough for it. Or he wasn't last season. He might be this season. But as part of like that big and little combo with McGuinness and Wilkes, he does look a lot better because he can sort of feed off McGuinness's hold-up ability. So if McGuinness is on his game and does his part properly, then Wilkes should be able to get a few chances and nip in behind, which is what we kind of wanted in like an Eves and Smith partnership. But, we could recreate it with them too.
I would like to see him and Smith as the two front players, and instead of trying to play it in the air, try and play it through teams.
What, Wilkes and Smith?
Yeah, I would like to see it at least tried.
Okay. But don't we lose a bit of physicality and aerial prowess at the top without one of them?
I would argue maybe don't hit the ball in the air as often.
Well, no, we would obviously want us to get the ball on the floor, but if we're going to play a system where we've got wing backs, you should think that we're going to get quite a few crosses in the box, would be my logic behind it. So you'd want at least one aerial striker for that sort of outlet, because if you're playing it on the floor and you can't get through, you've got no other outlet, have you? I mean, you can bring them on as a sub, but...
I mean, you say that, but our second goal came from a cross that Wilkes headed in.
Yeah, but... All right, yeah, you got me there. I'm not going to try to defend that. I mean, he did well. He did well positional. I mean, KLP did brilliantly to create the chance, and the cross was great.
Really great.
Dennis just had to jump up and nod it in, but obviously he's got to be there to do it, and he did. So if he does little in games but still scores, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Notice though that there's been a little bit of silence by both Harry on the video there, the club themselves on Twitter, etc. No condemnation of the bottle throwing. No even real inclination or apology for that.
I mean, it's not really Harry's point to apologise.
Well, no, I mean, but as a fan in the stand, you'd have probably
unless
been
he was throwing it himself.
Yeah, he might have been. That's why he might not have said it.
I'm not going to accuse him of that at all.
No. So, I mean, it's one of them, and obviously, you wouldn't like to see it, and you'd rather see it condemned by the club themselves.
I mean, just last night, I don't know if anyone's seen it, in Ligue 1 in France, Dimitri Payet was hitting their head with a full bottle of water.
Water bottle, like a plastic bottle. But yeah, I
it
mean
was
they're
a full
heavy.
bottle.
These can be quite heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
a
it's
full
also
bottle,
worth
and
noting that a few people
that's the
have
second
pointed
time
out on
that's
Twitter.
happened to him as well.
I mean,
thought
you
so.
sit in E2, don't you, Will?
Yeah.
So there is obviously a new thing that the club have started, because obviously you're all rebels in E2 and you need caging.
The Stone Island crew.
There is as I understand, like a circle of stewards now that surround the 2 or 3 blocks in the East Stand.
I have noticed that the last couple of games. There's quite a
Yeah.
few, there's a lot more stewards suddenly there, and I think it's
You need
probably
to
come
behave
from
yourself.
the Sheffield United and Middlesbrough games, where
Mm.
it kind of kicked off a little bit, particularly Sheffield United, where fans managed to actually start fighting.
Yeah.
But the stewards, and in general, I feel like they don't seem to have like a full grasp of the scenario most of the time, because they seem like they haven't had much training, a lot of them, to deal with certain scenarios. Like when Birmingham started kicking off, the Birmingham fans started kicking off, they didn't really do much, and I felt like they couldn't really do much.
Well, that's the point I was building up to, because if there's a lot of stewards pointlessly surrounding E1, 2, and maybe a bit of 3 in the East Stand, then there's obviously not enough in the away end that's stopping them shipping in alcohol and throwing it at Nathan
I did
Baxter.
notice there was one positive from the stewards, I would say, is this time they didn't start taking Turkish flags off people. Maybe because something happened during the 2 weeks, possibly, but I don't know.
There's been the official tweet from the club, hasn't there? That's sort of in the pipeline. So, yeah,
exactly.
Maybe it's an omen.
Yeah. So another good win. I think it's probably good to point out Honeyman as well. Looks back to his best, 2 games in a row, 2 goals in a row. He's going to be instrumental.
Him and Doherty were just all over the place.
Back to last season's standards.
It was like League One. Yeah, it was like League One.
He hadn't been fit, Honeyman, but he's played. He's not actually played that much. He's been back for a while, but I thought, didn't he get injured? And we've had international breaks, so I think this.
Yeah, he got injured, came back, got injured again, and then he's come back. So he's had a bit of
at peak Honeyman.
Yeah, turbulent start for him.
Although, one negative, we had another 11 corners or something. Where how many games into the season? Is it 18, 17? Still no goals from a set piece.
Yeah, actually, it's a good
I just
point.
Don't understand.
Yeah, because I've not actually mentioned anything about that.
It's a joke.
But now you've said that. Last season, set pieces were one of our main ways of scoring. We were by far
3 games or something.
The highest scoring team from set pieces in League One last season, and
like
this
that,
season,
not one.
Not happening.
Not one at all.
What do we put that down to?
Well, somewhat. Who's taking them? Because I mean, when eventually Honeyman and Elder do take them, and it's not been Moncur or someone else, they take it short a lot more. Just whip it in. Just none of this faff. Just whip it in. You know. But I think probably it's just that people in the Championship can mark. Because some of the goals we scored from set pieces last year, they just forgot, Wilkes, their top goal scorer, no point marking him. What's he going to do? And then he scores. So, but I think it's probably just, maybe it's confidence that and none of the defenders have scored. So they just don't think there's no point running to get it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they all seem to actually have a go at trying to score. It just never seems to fall right.
Yeah.
It's obviously... because it's a hard question to answer because it's a lot of factors that can contribute to it. So quality of delivery this season has been, I think, from wherever I've seen, has been absolutely shocking. I mean, Moncur came in as apparently like a set piece specialist, and I can't recall one.
He's more direct free kicks, though.
Yeah, he's not been great. Obviously, we've missed Honeyman, we've missed Elder sometimes. Quality of the defence, obviously, a lot higher in this league. We're going to score more goals in League One than we are Championship set piece standard, obviously, because it's a step up in quality. We've got some international experienced players to come up against and ex-Prem players, etc. So it's just one of them. I think once we score one, it'll probably click and we'll probably, crack on from there. But the worrying thing is that set pieces is one of those key stats that can be the difference between staying up or going down. A lot of your goals needs to come from that kind of source if you want to stay in the league, because we're not scoring many from open play, are we? So something needs to click and quite quickly. Maybe McGuinness, once he gets on the end of one, Greaves, he'll score his first goal this season.
He's never going to score. No, well, not at this rate.
I pray for that every corner.
Maybe the last game of the season to stay up or to get promoted with this latest form. Maybe he'll finally score.
It might not take a set. If we keep playing back three, it might not take a set piece for Greaves to score because he made a lot of really long attacking runs in that game.
Yes,
I wouldn't be surprised if one time he just suddenly does a Damien Delaney and just smashes it.
I was literally about to say that because Bernard as well is not shy from having a pop from range, is he, when he goes into space? So maybe the goals from defenders this season will be absolute thunder bastards from like 30 yards. Right then, so we'll move on from the Birmingham game. Good win. We've got an important game against Cardiff.
Easy win.
Coming up.
Easy. Nothing can stop the Longman train.
What system are we going to play? More importantly,
we're going to play back four.
6 at the back.
If Bernard wasn't suspended, I think he might have kept the same team, the exact same team. Possibly, maybe brought Elder back in, maybe, but I think he'd probably get it. I mean, if he plays a back three, he may play Elder as the left-sided centre back. I don't know.
Could work.
But be a good call. Maybe an argument for Smallwood being able to play there, but
well, Smallwood was almost like a fourth defender, to be fair, against Birmingham whenever they actually started trying to press.
He's not tall enough, though, is he? Maybe
the problem is then. So if we do go to a back four, that means we lose an attacker. Say we go to a front three. Who are we losing? Because you would imagine that Wilkes' goal's keeping him in the side and he's compromising photos of McCann, obviously. McGuinness will probably be the guy through the middle. KLP, undroppable, really, at the minute.
Oh, no.
So, I know where you go with this.
But Longman,
drop Honeyman.
Miss out in if we go front three.
Put Longman in midfield.
Unless you
realistically, would we be happy with...
Maybe.
If we're playing at a three at the top, I think I'd like to see Longman on the left, KLP on the right, and Wilkes through the middle. See how that goes.
So one be a way around it, and you've completely changed your opinion of Wilkes. One was he needs to be out the team. Oh no,
I'm thinking realistically. I'm not thinking as me. I'm thinking as McCann. Yeah, so Wilkes has to be in that team. He'll play him in CDM if he has to. Like he's getting in that team. So unfortunately,
to be fair, you can't drop him after scoring as much as you want to. He still scored.
He will drop Longman. That's what I'm saying. But he doesn't deserve to drop.
The ball actually went out. McCann will say that, and then he'll drop That's what
he should have had an assist. He should have really contributed to that game. I mean, realistically, you're only candidates for dropping are McGuinness or Longman because he's not going to drop KLP or Wilkes.
Longman,
so if he does go to it, you see, I worry about things like that though because when you've got a player like Longman who's playing really well, what does it do to that player's drive? Or confidence if they then get dropped the next game. Do you know what I mean? It's you've just staked your claim to be a starter, and then it's like, sorry, mate, Wilkes is my bezzy. Yeah, so it'll be tough. Would we be happy with a point, or is it a must-win? What are saying?
Oh, I'd bite your hand off for a point.
Yeah,
because they've also now won back-to-back as well. So
it's
not like they're in the fall. If they still had McCarthy there, I'd be like, no, I want to win. I'd be concerned if we didn't, but because Morrison's come in, new manager bounce, they've won 2 as well. I'll take a point because they're going to be up for it.
Yeah, they've won. They beat Huddersfield and Preston, both 2-1, and both times coming from 1-0 down.
Yeah. So we just need to concede first, and then we'll beat them.
Then we book the trend.
Mind games. Yeah.
but we don't usually score if we concede first.
Oh yeah.
I think Preston's like the only time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So it's one of those that I mean, obviously, I think a point, 3 unbeaten, 7 points in 3 games would have been a lot more than anybody expected, given the form before Borough. So obviously, we mentioned the problem with the team selection at the minute because Bernard's suspended. What is the team that we would play then? I'll go to you first, Nathaniel. What's your 11?
Okay, well, Baxter. Feels weird saying that. Who are the defenders that are fit? Mclaughlin, Greaves,
There
That's
you go.
two left-sided one. I mean, Elder left back, I guess. Right back.
We don't
No, we
actually
don't
have
have
any
one.
fit right back. I can't remember the name of the.
Longman right back. There we go. Problem
I
sorted.
did say that a few minutes ago.
And then if he's playing right wing back, he can play right back for a game, right? Maybe.
I mean, you might have to just do it out of necessity.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll go 4-3-3. So Honeyman, Doherty, Smallwood, and then I guess just Wilkes, Lewis, Bottom again. So it's basically the exact team you'd expect, except Baxter, McLaughlin, and Longman at right back. Maybe Cannon. I think Cannon, maybe on FIFA like 2 years ago or something. He was one of his things was that he could play right back as well. So maybe Cannon at right back. Who knows? That could work, right?
Big fan of using FIFA as intel.
Yeah,
I do enjoy
it
that.
just means he's played there in his career at some point, maybe.
I mean, he mentioned a few youngsters' names in the interview. I've just forgotten who he meant. I know Leek was one,
youngsters,
but he's a left back. Do you think Elder could play right back and put Leek in left back? Where's Fleming? Is he injured?
I believe Fleming is injured, yeah.
Because he's usually an all right backup option. What about you then, Will?
I would hope it's the same formation, just the one change of Bernard out, bring Elder in, try him at left side of the back three.
That's a radical team, isn't it?
But that's the thing at the moment, because of the injuries and suspensions we got, we kind of have to
just got to do it.
Experiment a little bit. Just as
a
result.
There's a lot of examples.
We haven't got our strong side.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of examples of fullbacks being able to slot in as the outside centre halves in. Three at the backs, it works quite well. Kyle Walker does it well. Obviously, phenomenal player, not really comparable at the minute, but an example. It can work if you played him as a left-sided centre back and just sort of allowed him to. Your only issue is if they get down the other side and put a cross to the far post, it's probably not winning that header. But sometimes necessity means that you've got to. I mean, you can't. He's defender. So to me, I would probably do the same. I'd have a back three like that. Pretty much then the same team going forward. Yeah, the same. Because there's not many. There's no one really that you could drop. I mean, I think a good question would be beyond Cardiff. Obviously, Smallwood's now playing quite well. When Huddleston's fit, do you keep Smallwood in the side or do you bring him back in?
Well, someone's going to be injured. Huddleston at centre back, maybe. I don't know.
I think we've done that before, haven't we? Or was it Livermore?
It was Livermore. But Huddleston played like Smallwood. I remember on Match of the Day one time, Alan Shearer was having a go at Huddleston for playing as a sweeper. So he can definitely do it.
I'm not like I'm going for doing that because that's
because we lost.
Role for Huddleston.
Yeah.
I think Brucey went through a bit of a brain fart period, didn't he? Where he started playing him as like a number 10. That was bizarre. He did it at Wembley, didn't he, against Sheffield United? And everyone was like, "What's he doing?" And then in the second half, he dropped him deeper, and we got Brucey had a good tendency to put square pegs in round holes just to get players inside, like David Myler in left midfield. Do you know what I mean?
What we need to do is just hope that Honeyman doesn't get booked, because I know it's the last game before the yellow card cut off. So after Cardiff, all the yellow cards are sort of like wiped. And if he gets booked, he'll miss the Millwall game.
100% chance. 100%. It's definitely going to... First 5 minutes, it's going to absolutely...
I'm surprised. That's why I think he came off early in the Birmingham game. I think he would have played the full 90 had he not already been booked.
Honeyman, last-minute winner, takes his shirt off. Gets booked. Misses the next game.
If we've got 3 points from Cardiff, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of Honeyman then, and let's say, for example, he's been suspended and we're looking for players to step in. There's a couple of players that surname Smith, two of them, that seem to have just vanished from the team.
I won't pick either of them.
Would you not?
I'd bring in Cannon. Because I thought when he came on, he looked quite decent against Birmingham. I know they were down to 10 men, but his energy was, and he played like Honeyman was playing. He was very similar in the way he played. So I would probably bring him on because he's the closest like for like.
I mean, Cannon reminds me of Honeyman the first season we signed him in the Championship. Where it's a lot of energy, but not a lot
just
of
buzzing.
Nothing else really, just a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Like he
Can't
plays
kick a ball.
well, but it doesn't really contribute to anything. I mean, he scored, so he's done more than most. But
That's true.
yeah, he's Cannon. I think is one of them who seems to. He's a bit of an anomaly in the squad because I don't quite know what his role is as a midfielder. Where's he best? Where do we play him? Is he best in the Honeyman role?
I think he's best as in the Honeyman/Doherty role, personally.
Yeah, box to box.
Yeah.
Contribute to both. I mean, I think, to be fair, if you played Cannon, you could probably give some more attacking responsibility to the other midfielders. So say Honeyman suspended, you play Cannon, maybe have him do more of the track back kind of thing and let Doherty have more freedom in attack. I don't know.
Because Cannon's come on for Smallwood, hasn't he? So he's more the defensive one. Yeah. And then Doherty would go on, yeah.
So yeah, I'd definitely take about what's our score predictions. Nathaniel first.
1-1. Let's go 1-1.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a nice score draw. Longman and Collins.
Don't have to say Cardiff.
Maybe Collins. I'm going to say Collins. Why not? All right, Longman own goal because he needs to have the last laugh.
Greaves is going to finally score.
Yes. I say this in my head before every game. Greaves is going to score today, and I'm like,
please score Greaves. And whoever that defender is who keeps scoring for Cardiff. Swift, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to go.
I think he plays for Cardiff.
Swift, did you say?
I'm going to guess he's not a Cardiff player. I had a bad feeling that's what it was.
Yeah. Morrison, isn't it? Or Flint.
Flint.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Flint's who I'm thinking of.
And they got Kiefer Moore up top. He'll be a bit of an handful.
They do.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Well, Cardiff are definitely going to score from a set piece, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone into the Birmingham game thinking, Birmingham have got Troy Deeney and Jukovic and, up front, dear. And then they were non-existent.
Yeah. I mean,
Troy Deeney only scores penalties.
Yeah. It's good to...
He didn't even play as a striker, to be honest.
He was playing as they play front three, don't they? So he played as a right side, and he's got no pace. It's a bit weird that they did that.
He felt really out of place in their team.
They use him as a wide target man, don't they?
That's
like we used to do with Elmo.
Jackson.
He seemed to be very deep a lot of the time.
Hit the ball out wide and hope he knocks it onto the centre. But yeah, I'd definitely take a draw. I'm going to book the trend of a 1-1 draw. I'm going to say we draw 0-0. I'm going to say it's going to be quite a tense game.
Boring.
Hey, it means Baxter gets 3 clean sheets.
But then I get out of having to predict goal scorers. It's easy.
Oh, yeah, I know, but that's the fun.
You're not as soon as someone scores.
No, I'm going to say 0-0. I'm going to say that we have quite a positive first half, don't score any of our chances, and then have quite a nail-biting end to the second where they just keep lobbing the ball into the box and we sort of do some comical defending, but somehow survive. So that's going to be my my prediction because we tend to do some comical defending in every game, so it's a sure bet, really. I think in terms of stuff to cover, I think the only thing left really is to maybe comment on the progression of the takeover. So obviously,
you said that way too casually. It's finally fucking happening.
I'm trying. It's not happened yet.
Let's have a party.
We ball it in. We can do a "We'll Get Pissed" live episode as soon as it goes through, kind of thing.
Party rings out.
It's happening.
But Mr. Reliable Baz
Hallelujah.
has got a few exclusives. Has been talking to him man to man. Has been writing some stuff up about his his visions for the club. We've seen his Instagram story, I assume, where he was there with THAB during the international break, and he was doing some videos in the club shop and things like that. He's got his hand on an away shirt. For anyone that doesn't have an away shirt, he's got one. Just to rub that in a bit.
It's like Slutsky. It reminds me of Slutsky, how he seemed to really actually care about, and the position of being in England and just.
I mean, he
that's
openly
really good
said Ilishai's already said they don't wear orange and black, they wear amber and black. So he already knows the score.
He has my heart.
He already knows the score.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Is there not a slight worry that
he must have had a great?
Is there not a slight worry that he's just saying what he thinks we want to hear?
Well, the Alams don't say that.
Of course he is. He's a media bloke. He'll say what he feels will help. But
I'd rather they did that than
saying that. He's still doing more than the Allams were. He's still saying that.
Well,
I agree. I'm just saying
we can die. So I'd rather
he
being nice to
loves
us.
Football.
Yeah.
He clearly loves football, and he knows what the right thing to do is. Clearly,
he seems excited about the possibility of what he can do with us, which is good. So it sounds like, to me, like from whenever I sort of read what he's been saying, it sounds like he's not going to be scared to back us. He's genuinely aiming for the Premier League. So to me, obviously, we're not going to spend like 20 million in January and get promoted. Obviously not. But for him, for when he gets settled and then we start to get sort of an identity and whether or not he keeps McCann, I don't know what his aims are. I mean, it's looking likely that Shotta, his last name, is going to take over.
Avaladze.
He's done his English lessons. He's applied for a visa.
It's a weird conundrum that's coming up because at the moment, Grant's now won the last two. What if, say, Grant went on a winning run now as the takeover happens?
But we said this with Baz, didn't we? That the problem is with Grant is that...
Could you justify it, though, in that period of time?
The owner might. I don't think the fans will. Because it's like we said with Baz, wasn't it? Because I asked it. The problem is he could win 6 in a row. The moment he loses, it's back to normal. Grant's lost he's sort of at the end of his tether now with in terms of relationship with the fans. In my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And I think if you put a poll out,
he will go.
Yeah,
he will go. I think, but
he might
create a conundrum.
He might come in and say, "Because you've done so well, I'm going to give you to the end of this month. If things go back to how they were, then I'm going to have to replace you. But if you keep it on the upwards incline and start climbing the table, then you'll really back me into a corner, and then I'll probably back you in January," kind of thing.
But that's the thing. He wants to allegedly, bring in Turkish players in January. And is McCann going to want to do that? He'd want his manager in place so he can recruit the players that they both,
but also,
both want.
Was we also reading into that as a quote a bit too much? I don't think he genuinely meant that he wanted to come in and sign loads of Turkish players.
No, but maybe a few.
I think he'll bring 1 or 2.
Yeah. But McCann hasn't bought any Turkish players yet. Although we have signed a few foreign players, like, Maya and the other one. We wanted to sign that Thibaut Vion chap, didn't we? So maybe he would be persuaded to look, further afield.
Well, if they're good players and they'd actually make the team better, then it won't have an issue.
Are there any?
If he takes over, we'll have a director of football.
Yeah,
is my feeling.
Well, someone tweeted, I can't remember who it was, so I can't credit you for it, but someone did tweet and say that he's apparently already chosen somebody to be director of football who's local to Hull. So
apparently he's picked 4 people. He's already got these 4 names in mind to run the club on the day-to-day.
Which is important because it means that he's coming in and not going, right, this is my way. He's gonna get like 4 people in who know what they're doing and going to go, right, you know the area, you know the club, you know the fans. I've got this vision. Do you think this would work? And they could turn around and go, no, don't sign 10 Turkish players. That would be a bit weird, kind of thing.
Nick Barmby, director of football.
I mean, there's a lot of shouts in there for the ex-player. Dino to come back, Nick Barmby to come back, fucking bring Brian Hughes back in some form, Andy Dawson, whatever. There's a lot of calls for that, but realistically...
Have 100 coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to see Barmby involved in maybe an ambassadorial role, but I think the Alam sort of killed his love for the sport, didn't they? Because he vanish to rugby.
I don't think they killed his love for the sport. I just think he didn't want anything to do with Hull at the time.
But he's had that. He started go watch rugby and all sorts. He's not had any sort of involvement with football from what I've seen. Obviously, I don't watch him every day, but
I think he'd be open. I think he'd be happily. He'd be welcomed back with open arms anyway.
Yeah, as a coach or an ambassadorial role, something would be nice. I mean, Dino especially would be nice to be a striker coach, even if he did it for free, like he was doing. But the chances of it happening, I don't think are quite high. Do you know what I would like him to do, though? Is to maybe stick a couple of statues around the ground of the likes of Chillo, Chilo and Waggy statue would be nice, maybe. A Dino one of his goal at Wembley.
Yes, yeah.
Because people have been waiting for that kind of thing. And what do you remember mentioning Chilo? Yeah, do you remember the club was saying something that they were going to do something for Chilo and they're yet to do it?
I do think the takeover thing might have slightly overshadowed it.
Yeah, because we all thought that maybe a stand would be renamed for him, or a plaque, or a statue, or something.
I do think that will happen. I do think that will happen. I think you'll probably get a stand named after him, or a statue outside the ground, one or the other.
The stand one's difficult because they're sponsored stands, aren't they? So you have to call them by the sponsor, unless they agree.
When you look at what one of the stands is, it is the MKM sponsored stand, and they also sponsor the stadium, so I think they'll happily give up a stand.
Much, isn't it?
That's the South stand, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
the MKM stand in the MKM stadium. It's just a bit greedy, isn't it? It's
just the way it's fallen. I don't think they'll sponsor that stand for much longer, regardless, because they sponsor the stadium.
Yeah. Right then. So in terms of the timeline of the takeover happening, then there's a general consensus. I mean, Baz said that recently in one of his tweets that he expects it to be done in the next
3 weeks.
3 weeks or so. There was what's been talked about quite a bit today. The club posted Bristol City ticket details and then quickly deleted it. Now, is that just they scheduled it and accidentally tweeted it too early and went, shit, got rid of it? Or is that because they're going to change the pricing structure because he's coming in? I was going to
say, if it happens with the timeline, that would effectively be the first home game under new ownership, if it goes by the timeline anyway. So I imagine they're holding, I understand why they're holding off, because they're not entirely sure who's going to actually be pricing the tickets just yet. But
that's the thing. So there's a general consensus then that they think that maybe about 5,000 fans would come back for like the initial game after the takeover. Do we think attendances are going to take quite a while to recover, or do we think it's going to be quite a quick thing?
I think it'll take a little bit of time, personally. For years, I was always thinking when the Allams leave, the fans will be back in their droves, but I think time has gone. It's been so long that a lot of people, including myself for a long while, had moved on.
Found other stuff to do.
Out of the habit of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it will take time, but I think new ownership will definitely massively help, because I do actually think that even before the match started, the atmosphere in the ground just seemed a lot better. And I think just from what's happened the last couple of weeks in the news, and I do think those first games after it happens, you will see a spike, definitely, but I think it'll take a while for us to get back towards pre-Alum levels.
It'll be interesting, because a lot of people who say that they don't attend anymore is because the Allams are there and they won't give them any more money, etc. As soon as the Allams go, they'll be straight back, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see how many of those are genuine in that respect, or if they were just using it as an excuse to not go. But I think what he will be doing, and what will probably be top of his priority list, because he won't be under any illusions, that the Allams will be explaining to him about how the attendances have rapidly dropped.
They messed it up.
Well, EHAB won't have taken any responsibility for that, we know, but they will have definitely told him the situation. So I think at the top of his priority list will be cheap tickets, bring people back.
Well, something that was mentioned in his conversations with Baz was he was on about getting more community involved in the club, like how we used to have a lot of schools involved and bringing a lot of kids into the ground. He wants to bring that back, apparently, which
kids
I think
for a quid, things like that.
Yeah, and like I said, because he's a football fan, he knows that the fans are important both from an atmospheric point and from a financial point. So he knows that he needs to get that ground filled to make both the atmosphere and get him cash.
I mean, it'd be nice to see at least, realistically, if we get to about 16k, 15, 16k around that market, then that's probably
I'd like to get us back above 15 by the end of the season.
Which would be nice. It'd be nice to see the West Stand upper open again. Because
to be fair, in the long term.
In the Birmingham game, the East Stand looked pretty full.
I noticed there was a lot more. I noticed that it seemed a lot more people were there on Saturday than there was.
It's just obviously the
not
West.
Massive amounts, but it was definitely more people there.
Yeah, the west is quite empty, obviously, because the upper tier is closed, and the south stand being a family stand, there isn't that many families that go due to the membership scheme when it was first brought in. They were priced out of it. Obviously, it's been reintroduced, but people still aren't coming back because of what they did. So obviously, if he comes back in and he goes with what he's been saying about, you know, cheaper tickets for families, for kids, that'll mean the south stand gets packed again. So that's the east and the south full. And then, you know, you can use your west stand for corporate, for tickets, for community projects, things like that. Encouraging people back. Maybe do a couple of games where you can do like buy one, get the. Because I noticed Cardiff are doing it for the game against us. Obviously, wanting quite a packed stadium, they're doing something like, if you buy a ticket, you can bring a friend, and theirs is only half price. Kind of things like that, you know.
Sort of things. Yeah.
Just initiatives that encourage people to come back.
I definitely remember City in the past have done where if you have a season ticket, you can get a ticket for £5, split an extra ticket.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, which I definitely took advantage of a lot at the time. So anything that brings fans back essentially is always a big plus. I think the West Upper I definitely don't think he'll open it straight away.
No, that'll be a slow burner, obviously.
Yeah, he'll wait until the rest of it's relatively packed before he starts reopening that. But like I say, because he is a football man as well as a businessman, he knows financially the best thing to do is to have that stadium full.
And from what he's been saying is putting fans at the forefront of his.
Yeah. You would say that, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, obviously.
That's because, like I say, I sound like a broken record, because he is a football man, he knows the score. Excuse the cliche. He knows that without the fans, he's not in a good place.
It's very easy to win our fan base back over, I think, as well.
Very easy.
You just have to undo everything that Alam did, and that's it. You're on to a winner.
You don't have to undo everything they did, just some of it.
Before we finish, there's actually a question I wanted to put to both of you. There's quite a divide at the minute. A lot of fans want our original badge back. The one with the Hull City AFC, the Tigers thing at the bottom. And then some people are saying they prefer this one. It's just the same but modern. What do we think? Would you want to keep this badge? Go back to the old one?
I'm not bothered either way. I like the new badge. I like the old badge. I think the new badge, I understand why people don't like it to an extent, but it's not like it's a massive. It's not like the other one, which had no name on it.
It's perfectly
just a tiger.
It looks a lot like the other badge.
Yeah, it's just lost the little like.
Just put the AFC on.
It's 1904 stuff, yeah, and the Tigers.
Just put AFC on, same badge, but put extra letters on. Sorted. Move on.
Yeah. I mean, I actually prefer this one because it just seems more simple. I think the problem is that a lot of people, it reminds them of the Alams and the fact of what they did.
Yeah.
But this badge was made with fan consultation.
It was.
Which is something that the Alams obviously didn't do very often, but they did for this one because they realised they messed up royally with the attempt before, which was just a tiger head. And
make it a Turkish flag with amber and black on it.
Yeah, change the kit to red.
Badge. Yeah.
Do what Vincent Tan did with Cardiff.
Imagine.
I mean, we've had a few. We've had a few reds.
I have heard people, because obviously we used to have red on the kit in the mid-80s a bit, quite a few of those kits. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it'll happen. It's more radical. You could see it come back in some way, a bit of red on the kit.
You know what? I wouldn't mind for one season having a little like bit of red trim on the kit just for one season to celebrate the change in ownership. I'd be fine with that. And some of them old kits do look nice. There is a couple on the City
I know
Retro.
somewhere you could go.
Product placement. Yeah. So hopefully this goes through when we seem to be on the eve of a new chapter, and hopefully every podcast from the Alams leaving will be nice, happy, and we'll have a united fan base and
sunshine, rainbows.
At least, yeah, and 3/4 full at least. MKM Stadium. I almost said KCOM. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything covered. Beat Birmingham. Hoping for at least a point against Cardiff. We've got a bit of a team selection dilemma, obviously. And Takeover on the horizon. So I think we've covered everything for now.
Thank you, Dory.
So cheers for joining me, you two. Cheers for obviously Harry. Just check that was his name. Yeah, it was Harry Matthews from Lichfield and Tamworth Blue Nose YouTube channel. Because I didn't know if it was Henry or Harry, so I didn't want to get it wrong. But yeah, cheers to him for the video. Obviously, we're going to try and do a bit more of that on future videos. Get either some reviews, previews going from other fans, so we can talk about it a bit more. And try and get that. Matt will probably be back for the next one. Like I said, he's currently doing another venture with Scott Goodwin and Sam Harland on the Turf to Terrace podcast. I do give that a go as well. It looks like it could be quite a fun one. Yeah. And cheers to our sponsors and partners. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Right. Yes, I don't have to edit that in any way.
That was stupendous.